myself again. But it's the only...
Good evening and welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. It is Friday night and we have the Three Amigos show. Unfortunately, one of our Amigos is a little bit hungover, but he's also lost his phone in the taxi on his night out with Stu Penman. So he's in a bit of a state. He's trying to get on with his tablet. It's slow, it's stuttering. It's probably worse than my microphone, which a lot of people always have a pop about. So it doesn't look like we're going to have Mitch. So as well as Steve Hastie, we've got an able stand-in who was already on as a guest anyway, Mick Edmondson from the back page. Good evening, Mick.
Hi, Steve. You okay?
Yeah, great. Yeah. Great to have you on, mate. Been mates for a long time. You're a legend in Newcastle with your pre-match shows and the back page shop, and we're going to talk all about that, as well as being a published author. You could have played for Newcastle as well, and got so many stories I want to go into, and I'm sure we will. First of all, I did say I would start the show essentially just addressing a few of the issues that have been going on social media this week, really involving me. You will have all seen me rant on Twitter, if you're on there, where I put across my points of view about trolling. I'm sick to death of it. I'm sick of people hiding behind fake accounts, and I'm going to do something about it. So what I've done is, in a calm, cool, collected manner, unlike my broadcast yesterday, I've contacted all the trolls that have been targeting me over the last 6 months. Some of them have spoken to me on the phone and revealed their identities. Some have chosen not to, and some other people have chosen to inboxes, and we've had conversations that way. Some of them just wanted to do it on the timeline. Hopefully, that is the end of it, and we've got no more issues. We've got no more problems. We're not going to have any more debates, and we'll not have any more targeting of Steve Wraith on Twitter, because it's getting on me wick, really is. I'm not a racist. I'm not a paedophile. I'm not bald. I actually shaved my head. And in the last couple of elections, I've actually voted Liberal. I vote Liberal in the general election, and I vote Labour in the local election. And the reason I vote Labour in the local election is because Ian Mearns is a bloody good politician. And what he does for the local community is fantastic. Yes, I once ran as a Tory in my local area, and I did it to run against the BNP. Unfortunately, for most people, in that situation, you do get to meet people who are quite high up in the Tory party when you go for that. And in my situation, I met David Cameron, and I also met Michael Howard. And as part of my build up to me running for a local councillor against the BNP, I actually became I had to go and meet these people as use for my promotional material. Unfortunate for me, those photographs became widely available on the internet, and now they're picked up by trolls. I also met Tommy Robinson, the guy who founded the EDL, went on to become quite a notorious figure up and down the country. I met him in a bar in Wickham when England were playing an international. I was asked if I could have my photograph with him and a few of my friends who I was with. I posed for the photograph. That now, unfortunately, is on social media for me, and it's widely available, which means trolls can pick that photograph up and essentially call Steve Wraith a racist. That's wrong. I'm not a racist. Anybody who knows us will tell you that. But from my perspective, it makes me an easy target, because why? I put my head above the parapet and I talk about Newcastle United. Well, I've had enough. I've sat and took this for 3 years. I'm now putting together a documentary with my good mates who are putting the documentary together, a good documentary team. And we've spoken to these people who've decided to target me. And I'm pleased to say we've got a few on. I don't care what people's opinions of these people are. They're prepared to come on and speak about being trolls. They're prepared to come on and speak about being trolled. We've got a mental health worker to come on. I've got a headmaster from a school to come on as well. Tonight I was actually in conversation with somebody who was part of the Youth Against Racism in the North East who's willing to come on. So it looks as if finally we might get somewhere this. I hope so. I know there'll always be trolls out there, but the message I really want to try and get across, and we'll be launching a campaign later tonight, is really just to, think before you tweet. Please think before you tweet, because especially in these times when we're all sitting in the house and we're locked down, we're in a position where, unfortunately, we can't go out and people's mental health suffers. We're doing the Phone a Friend campaign. We really just want people to change their mindset. Think before you tweet. That's the message. And we'll be posting a little bit more about that later today. I want to apologise again. I've already made an apology to Luke Edwards by phone this week. I know he's still on holiday. He's back next week. We're going to have a good chat next week. But me and him have both apologised to each other. So that argument moves on now. We fell out what normal people fall out about. Football. He doesn't believe that the Staveley takeover was going to go through. I do believe it's going to go through. Simple as that. But unfortunately, it seemed to divide the fan base. And then from there, we've gone to arguments with a woman who we've had on the show before, Red Rose Michelle, who is, basically been given her legal expertise via another great podcast called Gallagher Shots, who we've got a great relationship with. Chris Wallace, great friend of the show. He's also been on our show. Unfortunately, Red Rose Michelle, she goes on Twitter, watched one of our shows, and she felt that the comments on the show led to her receiving death threats. Now, unfortunately, if that kind of thing's happened, I can't control that. I know certainly none of the presenters said anything about Red Rose Michelle. However, she feels that on that programme in particular, it was implied that she was lying. All I will say is, as I'm the person who runs this channel, and I'm the person who presents it every night of the week and does it for everyone who likes to watch, is I'll apologise to Michelle if she's had those death threats and she feels that's from us. I'm not going to get into any more arguments. I did speak to her last night via messenger on Twitter, and I'm a man of my word, Michelle. So I hope that draws a line under it. I hope we can go back to following each other, and I hope we can just leave it at that, because really, Twitter has been a vile, horrible cesspit over the last couple of weeks, and for some reason, I've been targeted. I did the doors for 18 years. I've got thick skin, but everyone's got a breaking point. Well, this is it. That's it. I'm drawing a line under it. That's it. I've said everything I need to say. Now we'll get back onto what we normally do on NUFC Matters. And the three amigos is enjoy ourselves and not have a rant from Steve Wraith. So we're going to start with Mick, because he's our guest. And what we always do is when we get somebody new on the show, we always have a chat with that person. So Steve, you're going to be a little bit redundant here, because Mick can talk as much as me. So first of all, Mick, I do want to plug this. And the reason I asked you to come on the show is because of this fantastic place. And there's two of these. There's one at St Andrew's Street, which is obviously in the heart of Newcastle, a stone's throw from St James's. And there's also the one in the Metro Centre, which is a massive, massive shop, which you go in at the bus concourse end upstairs. They're both shrines, really. How did they tell us about the back page first, Mick? How did it come about?
Back page came about through sports pages, really, in London. I used to be editor of a fanzine, remember, Toon Army News, and we used to sell it in sports pages. Got to know the lads down there, Brentford, Chelsea fans, the staff who worked there. And I was a regular visitor, and every time I went down, I felt as though it's a great bookshop. Obviously, they sold a lot of more other sports as well, because obviously a lot of Americans, foreigners, people from all over the world into sport, the USA sport. So it was football predominantly, but also they did well with other sports. And I always felt as though when I went in, I had all this space above the bookcases. It was wasted. So I used to come up with the idea of doing football pictures for them. So I used to sell them football pictures, get prints done, frame them up, take them down in my car. And I always wanted to open my own shop in Newcastle. In 1991, I had one in North Shields, Harbour Market. Then I moved to the shopping mall in North Shields. And then I opened the Sound of Music, which was half football, half music, in Wallsend Inn shops for 3 years, from 91 to 94. And obviously, when I opened it, it was absolutely atrocious under Aussie. And then obviously Keegan came, and that helped the shop really take off. We started doing European trips, at Antwerp and Bilbao, etc. And, I always wanted one in town. Then obviously the DJ, and I shut the shop when the shipyards went, Wallsend died a bit. And I concentrated on the DJing. And then I came up with the idea for a pre-match at Idols, when I started at Idols. And when that first opened, about 94, 95, and started the pre-match there. But it was always my dream to have the shop in Newcastle, in the city centre. And sports pages were going to open in Newcastle and Glasgow. They expanded from London, went to Manchester. They're going to open in Newcastle and Glasgow, and asked me if I would be interested in looking after the two shops in Glasgow and Newcastle, which I said I was. But obviously, really, I was thinking, no, don't open there. I want to open my own shop one day. But he had financial problems in London. They doubled his rent, and he took them to court, lost the court case. John Gustard, he was from New Zealand, the owner. And so, unfortunately, I'd only been open about a year and a half. 2000, November the 28th, 2003, we opened. So it's coming up to 18 years old this month. And basically, it shut. So the Manchester shop went, the London shop went. So that's how it came about, really.
Good stuff.
It's not rocket science. Opening in a football mad city, opening a football shop, really. You know, sometimes it's simple. Yes, it's not rocket science.
No brainer, and we'll be looking at some of the offers that Mick's got on at the back page over Christmas and a little bit later in the show. For those of you who didn't realise, it is of course Comic Children in Need Night tonight, not Comic Relief, and it's obviously our chance to maybe raise a little bit of money for the kids in the area, because the money that's raised for Children in Need, of course, it does go to the North East children. So we've decided to give it a go tonight. If you look down at the bottom of the chat on YouTube, you will see the little dollar sign. So what we're going to do is everybody who can donate to that tonight, Steve's got a pen and paper, I hope, and he's going to monitor. I did ask you earlier on, but if you have, great. If you haven't, we need.
I'll get one.
Get one. So if you can get a pen and paper, Steve, I want you just to mark it down when it comes up a donation. What we're going to do tonight is very simple. If we reach £100 tonight, then Kendall, who's on the ladies' night, she's going to come on and sing All I Want for Christmas. So we've got to get to £100 for her to do that. If we get to £200, then Spenny Mag, who comes on with the worldwide squad, he's going to come on dressed as a woman, okay, for the £200 mark. If we get to £300, I will sing a chorus of a song that the viewers choose, right? So you'll have 5 minutes to choose it, and I'll go with the one that gets the most votes, okay? If we get to £400, which I think we will, then Sav, who does the ladies' night, she'll come on and do this Borat impression, which everybody wants to do. So it's as simple as that. We'll get to £100 first, and that's what we need. That's what we need to do. That's the first target. So there's a little dollar sign in the chat. If you just want to click on that, and you can make a donation, and all proceeds, and I mean all proceeds, will go to Children in Need, and we will tweet the final amount and what we've put in. We've also put a T-shirt up as usual. As I say, qtechshop.co.uk have made the T-shirt for tonight. NUFC Matters 3 Amigos T-shirt. That's on my Twitter line already. If you go to the top of the feed, it's already posted there. All of the money that raises from that goes to the food bank. It's already at £40 for the T-shirt, which is fantastic going. Bearing in mind, it's only been up for about half an hour. But as always, we've got to thank our sponsors as well. We want to thank, as I've already said, qtechshop.co.uk, who are basically the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, amongst other things. And we also want to thank our main sponsors for this month, who are sponsoring the StreamYard connection, and that's newworkwear.com, specialists in the supply and branding and clothing for the workplace. And Mick, if you just move your head up a little bit, you might get your head in that hat. Hey, there you go. We'll always do that with people. So good stuff.
Mate.
Yeah, fantastic. Really, really good. And already the money, Steve, you're going to have your work cut out tonight, mate. There you go. Laura's put £5 in. £5 from Nicholas.
Drop me pen.
£5 from Nicholas. £5 from yeah, look at this coming in. Fantastic from everybody. £10 from Spenny Mag. Ferry Hill Mag $9.99. Andy Bar $4.99. Barry Hogan £3. Thanks for making a great start, guys. Hopefully we'll get to £100 because it'll be good to see the first person come up. Last thing really for you, Mick, before I move on to Steve and give him something to say, because I know you've got a lot to say. I want to talk a little bit about your book, because you gave me a bit of an inspiration to write a book. I wrote the Hooligan book, the Enemy Bender Squad of the Gremlins, but you wrote an absolutely fantastic book, and I've got to say it's one of the books in my life that I've read twice. I read a book on the craze twice, and I read your book twice because I enjoyed it that much. So tell us what the title is, and tell us what the book's about.
Black and White Daft, following Newcastle United, 1979 to 1984. had the idea going to all the matches in the 70s and 80s, and with all the great stories you heard, and I didn't want them to get lost forever, so I used to make notes. I mean, back then I never missed home, away, friendlies, everything. I never missed ever. And, you know, just crap about going away, people in furniture wagons, transits without seats, coaches, beer buses, trains, service trains, football specials. And it was just all the stories. It wasn't so much what happened on the pitch, but what happened on the terraces and the streets. And, you know, so what I started doing is putting a book together and started interviewing me mates, you know, through football, who I'd met through football. And I went to meet them at pubs and, you know, got them a couple of pints and then just got the stories off them. And so it's not all my memories. It's just a case of, you know, everybody else's memories. And then it was adding facts to the stories as well. So it became sort of a, you know, it's like a bit of a history book. So, you know, it's you know, like facts of Chris Waddle might have made his debut that day, and just putting little facts in, and that took a lot of time actually in the library. At this point, I'd like to mention that's where I met Library John. People call him Football John. Well, me and a few lads call him Library John, who I followed Newcastle United and Heaton Stan as well. And I last saw him like it was a week before he went to hospital. You know, I was with him at the Heaton Stan game, and just so sad. You know, funerals on Monday, so just like, you know, rest in peace, John. Great. If you never got to meet him, if you went to the library, you know who he is. If you didn't, great Geordie. And you know, I put him in touch with the club historian, Paul Jonah, and because Paul couldn't believe it. I mean, all these facts he had on his computer about, you know, he used to just live in the library basically for 30 years. So, yeah. You know, John Allen, rest in peace, mate. But yeah, so that was the thinking of it, you know, just to get everybody's stories, you know. But originally it was going to be a book about the 80s, from 79-80 to 89-90. And obviously that ends horrifically with the playoff defeat. But I had that much stuff that it was going to be like an encyclopedia. So basically I cut it in half. I've still got the other half to do. I've got most of the stories, but it's on a computer that it's an old computer. I'm having trouble getting it off the computer. So I would love to do a second book, but it means spending months in the library adding facts. You've got to read you know, you get facts from programs, home and away programs, you know, a little fact, and you add them to the story. So you've got to read all the chronicles, all the Sun and Sons, all the journals, all the programs, watch videos and stuff like that. It's a massive job, but it was very well received, you know. I don't know, maybe do a reprint on it. I mean, there's a few copies about that. That was the actual book there, black and white daft.
Fantastic.
2009 it came out. So but there's some great stories, stuff you just couldn't make up, you know. But it really captures the times. So for us, it's brings back memories. But for younger fans, it sort of chronicles what it was like then and educates them in what it was really like. Police escort. I mean, you look back now, a police escort, or you think stand on the gallery in half time having a piss against somebody's shoes.
I mentioned that in retro night on the other night. We're talking about West Ham.
Half time, what you doing? Oh, what you doing? Oh, I'm just having a piss. And there was a problem. The person complaining, not you having the piss. Was they? Imagine that now. I mean, they have a dump at Sunderland still. I mean, they're still doing that at Sunderland on the but you couldn't make it up, could you? Some of the things, I mean, some of the stories, furniture vans, like wives coming home and find out the husband's gone missing, and they put the settee in the chairs for them to sit on in the furniture wagon, you know. Crazy stories. But you know, I hopefully one day the second book, everyone asks, and hopefully it will come out, you know. I enjoy writing as well. I do enjoy writing, so hopefully.
Yeah, you're getting loads of messages. Nick says, Mick, old Willie Thompson from Westerhope wants to do a book about away matches in the 1950s. That would be a hell of a book. That would be a hell of a book, that, mate.
Well, actually, I've got a few. Actually, my uncle gave us one. He once went to Portsmouth. They left Newcastle. They went a few beers after work, left Newcastle midnight, 10:30 midnight on the Friday night. And they got down there. Obviously, the A1 wasn't there. And the A1 used to be Northumberland Street, across the Tyne Bridge. It's at High Street. and there's no, motorway through Chester Lee Street, through Durham, and all the way. He got to Portsmouth 2 hours before kickoff, and then watched the match. Had a couple of pints, watched the match, and then got back on the bus, got home, and went to work. I mean, that was the 50s, and he used to go every week, Ernie Langland.
Yeah.
What about that? Honestly, that book just showed up again there, Mick, because honestly, anybody who hasn't read it, put that on your Christmas book, lads and lasses. Put it on your Christmas list. Black and White Daft by Mick Edmondson. It's available in the back page shop. Honestly,
It's been out of print for years.
So have you got any left?
No. It's like it's been out of print for years.
Don't tell us you're not a dinosaur and you haven't got it on Kindle.
Haven't got it on Kindle yet, so
get it on Kindle, man. Get it on Kindle.
Probably will. Aye.
You need to, mate. You need to get that's the one thing now that you've got. Now you've got over your illness. Again, we'll talk about that in a short while. But that's good. Mitch, how are you doing? Have you got a connection?
Looks like it. Aye. Everything's.
Oh, there he is. He's. How's the hangover?
What hangover?
Are you still on the drink? Are you out of hair of the dog?
I've been to bloody work the day, man.
Have you? Oh, yeah. That's right. You went again. Did you find Stu's chargers?
Nah.
Nah.
And I've had a phone related disaster. It's somewhere going around Dubai in the back of a taxi. I've been to work the day. He's been out. I left him in Goodfellas. He was on hour 10 for the day or something like that. He's just a beast. He's just a bloody beast. Lamenting the fact that you're not with us, Steve, to be fair, mate.
Yeah, exactly.
But I've been a bit canny to catch up with him every time. I've just left him. I left him out in mid WhatsApp conversation with his mate, the Heed. He was a canny lad as well. So
yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. It's all good. Well, we're gonna have a big crack about football, but we'll come back to a few mixed stories later. People who are late to the party, Adam Beckett's asking there about the old donation button. So what we're doing tonight, of course, is we're raising money. Steve, I'll give you a little break, Steve, so you can top that up what you've got. We're raising money.
I've totted it up, Stevie. We're up to 200 already.
All right, so we can get Spenny on. So Spenny, if you're watching, we need you to come on, lad, dressed as a woman, and that gets the first one done. We're at 200, so £100, and no, it's Kendall first, isn't it? Kendall first. So Kendall, if you can come on and come and do your Christmas number, that would be great. And then after that, we'll get Spenny on, dressed as a woman, and that's the £200. That's great. Thanks everybody for watching, for doing that. Let's talk football, and Steve. I do want to look back, obviously, at the last match. What was
why?
It?
Why?
Why? Because it tells you where we're going. It tells you. I want to look briefly at that, and then look at the next set of fixtures, and ask you how many points we're going to get out the next 5 games.
Pressure already. Last fixture. What can we say about the last fixture? We could rattle it off in about 10 seconds. What an absolutely abysmal performance. What an absolutely shambolic game. What a waste of an hour and a half of my life on a Sunday afternoon. That's about it. Yeah, it was just there was nothing about that game. Absolutely nothing. Neither the formation, the tactics, the attitude, the complete and utter. How can we call it? I actually don't even know what the word to use, the adjective I could use to describe what I was witnessing. Players who, they were tackling each other, they were forgetting, they were tripping over the ball. It was like, you just put it down to, normally you put it down to a bad day at the office, Steve. But it was against Southampton, who were let to go top of the league. It went well for a little bit anyway, I just, bam, blew my head away.
We'll get this out of the way because this is going to distract everybody. Good evening, Maggie.
Oh.
Hello, boys.
Well, at least you've kept your side of the deal. So have the people who watched, mate. £100 came in for you to get dressed up in women's clothes, mate. I've got to be honest, mate. I'd need to drink about 10 pints with Mitch and another 10 pints with Mick, and then another 10 pints with Steve to get your phone number.
Said about us when we were down London.
Spenny, well done, mate. You were the one who gave this as a suggestion for tonight's show. Obviously, I know you're like me. You've got kids at home, and they've been to school and raised a bit of money for children in need. Fantastic gesture, mate. Well done, and a great idea. And hopefully, we'll reach a good old total tonight, mate. And you might be able to get back on for a bit of a sing-song at the end.
He tell you what, Mick, he wouldn't make the stage at Idols, would he?
No. Then again, we used to put a few dodgy ones on, you know. We used to have a few dodgy ones just because, you know, so it'd have some.
Yeah, when all the way the money go away on the boat. Never felt even nothing.
Spenny Mag. Spenny Mag, absolutely tremendous, mate. Or should I say Spenny Maggie? We'll catch you later on, mate. Take care. Well done, mate. Well done. Quality, mate. Great to have him on. It was his idea to do this tonight, and it's a great gesture. I know we'll make a lot of money for the food bank, but it's nice to be able to do something just off the cuff for children in need. So great idea by Steve. Top bloke as well, by the way. He was paying his respects on the Remembrance Day as well. He's an ex-serviceman, and he's a valuable part of our team, and he's a top lad. So Steve, next 5 fixtures are Chelsea at home, Crystal Palace away, Aston Villa away, West Brom at home, and then we'll go to Leeds United away from home. What's your take on that, Steve? What we're going to get out of that set of fixtures?
You're looking at it. I mean, Chelsea at home. I mean, we seem to be able to either raise that game or raise a result against Chelsea, or we have done in the past, haven't we? And Chelsea are a strange kettle of fish at the minute. You know, they've got marvelous attacking skills and ability. He seems to be tightening up their defence, but we're not too sure. You know, when you hear he seems to have got a more steady defence anyway. But he's playing around with formations. He's playing around with 3 at the back, 4 at the back, that type of thing. Palace are like us, aren't they? They suddenly have a great result and then they go off the wagon again. Villa. What a start the season Villa had. And then, again, you suddenly see after a result, which, if I'm perfectly honest, I thought was a freak result and a freak performance against Liverpool. I mean, the number of times that, you know, there was deflections and that type of thing where they absolutely ended up trouncing Liverpool. It was just, again, one of those days. But Villa, they've got the ex-Chelsea lad in Barkley who can play football when he wants to. We've got Grealish, who seems to be on fire at the moment. And so you're never too sure with them. West Brom are down among the dead men, quite frankly. And we talked right at the start of the season about a manager who's under pressure and which one will be the first to go. I can't remember whether any of us did say the West Brom manager, but he's been having a pop at the players. He's been having a pop at the fans. He's been having a pop at the board. I'm saying having a pop at the fans. It's more been the criticism that's been targeted at him, and it's mainly been the board. I mean, they sold a player from under him after promising. It sounds familiar, that, doesn't it? We've had that a few times before. And then Leeds again. Great start of the season, and then really struggled last week. Although, again, that was a strange game when you watched it. When you watched in midweek, you saw them. I saw them play one game against Villa where they barely touched the ball and ended up winning 3-0. And then they have another game where they get beat 4-1, and you're thinking, what's that? Is that the style of play? Is it they just get caught out? Is it the push? So interesting. I would love to have played these games with a full St James's Park, the home games, and have a full squad of away fans travelling to get behind the team, because these are games that, you know, taking Palace out of it, these are the games that when you travel, you do tend to really need the fans to get in behind them. And the home games, well, you know, again, you've got a home game against Chelsea, and Chelsea have often folded after, and how many times we've seen it, they've been 2-0 up and we're beating them 3-2 and things like that, you know. But it's Bruce, man. I mean, we don't even know whether we're going to have a Wilson fit. I mean, we're hearing bits that he's out, and then other stories saying he's not. So I'm gonna hang fire, and I'm gonna listen to what you guys think, because I just want to tot these 5 games up in me head, and I'll come back to it a points total.
Okay, Mitch, I'll come to you next, mate. While Steve starts adding his donations back up, because I've had to freeze the chat, and then Steve was talking to do it. So, yeah, Steve, you've got a bit of catching up to do. Mitch, those next 5 games, and just to refresh your memory, Mick, as I said, got next game is Chelsea. I'm not even going to say home and away. It doesn't make any difference with no crowd.
No, it doesn't anymore.
Chelsea, Crystal Palace, Aston Villa, West Brom, Leeds.
By my very Jekyll and Hyde nature, you could see we're winning a couple, but also getting thumped in a couple. And I think that's the problem. There seems to just be no plan. The plan against Southampton seemed to be, well, that worked last time, so we'll do it again. And that was it. It just didn't, and it didn't work. It didn't work the second time. There just doesn't seem to be a plan at all. So in that mishmash of fixtures, you could see we're getting lucky again. You could see we're getting thumped. You could see we're actually playing quite well. It's worse than Forrest Gump's box of chocolates. It's a real lucky dip. You're just not knowing what we're going to get week in, week out. Because it's simple. It's Bruce. There seems to be no real plan. This constant work in progress stuff, man. When does work in progress turn into the finished article or something close to a finished article? So I mean, for me, out of those fixtures, I reckon we'll be looking to get 5 points.
Okay, great stuff. Mick, go on. This has affected you more than anything, this whole COVID thing, by the way. And I'm not talking about your health here. I'm talking about the buses, because I've been with a back page travel in the past, and God knows what it's done to your business, mate. Not having any football for God knows how long, and go talk a little bit about that, and then go into those fixtures and tell us what you think. Yeah.
Well, obviously, first of all, the DJ, and obviously being at Beyond for about 12 years, which is now wonderbar. And honestly, if you've never been, it's a fantastic venue. Like the Terrace inside, it's made Bar Beyond look half the size. Honestly, it's huge inside, perfect. And it was going great. What an atmosphere, fantastic. And then we hit this in March, and so I've never DJed since March, so obviously no income then, and obviously all my life revolves around football, Newcastle United, my working life, my social life, everything. My life, Newcastle United and football, and I haven't got the DJ money in, and obviously the shops. Been 18 years in the town, and then 4 years in the Metro Centre, 2,500 square foot in the Metro Centre. Obviously there's no rent rebates, anything like that. Still wanting rent from the 3 months were shut earlier in the year, and they'll want rent for this month. This is the second biggest month of the year. So not only have we lost all the coach travel, the Newcastle shops also lost the match day traffic. When they've got 52,000 people in the town. Obviously, our busiest days, match days, and also we get a lot of foreign visitors, especially in the Premier League. So when Newcastle play Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man United, some of the bigger clubs, that named probably 10 in the Premier League, a lot of foreign supporters, like a lot of English lads, a lot of lads I know, I've done it myself, go to Germany and Holland and to watch football. They come over here, not to support, they're not Arsenal supporters or Tottenham supporters, but they want to see Newcastle play a bigger club as opposed to West Broms and that. So you get all those people aren't coming, and also no travel. We've got no tourists. With summer trade is built up with tourists. We've got no tourists coming to the city, and Geordies come back home. Geordie exiles, they live in America and Australia. They come in the shop and they take stuff back over for the man caves or the bars they've got in the house or stuff, to remind them of home. There's nothing prouder than a Geordie abroad, or living away from Newcastle. They want pictures of the Time Bridge and Newcastle stuff hanging up all over. We've got none of that either. So it's been an absolute nightmare. And when he mentioned that they were going to shut, and I just thought this cannot happen, and it's happened, and it's not good. It's not good, but we'll continue fighting, and hopefully we'll come through it. There's no guarantees though, because basically you take all your money now. So as people go online, we've got a great website, and although everything's not available, a lot of things are. And I know we've been, people support our shop for years, and hopefully they'll help. There it is there.
Top place whether you're popping in for merchandise or whether you're just popping in for a mask, which is obviously becoming a big part of our life.
The face masks have been. That's what I did through lockdown. Came up with ideas for face masks in the last time, and they've been very successful. Great quality, and we've sold loads, and we haven't. To be honest with you, they've kept afloat. And we've got the snoods coming soon, but they're not the silky ones, just for show or fashion. These actually snoods with our logos on, and where we're designed so the actual will keep you warm in the winter. So instead of wearing a face mask, you just pull the snood up, and you don't have to keep wearing face mask when you're going into a shop or wherever you're going. So they're coming there. Well, again, the lockdown deliveries all knocked up and everything, and so hopefully I'll have them for soon. They'll be straight on the website when we do. So, but these next fixtures coming up, we'll have to talk about them. I know one thing. It'll be boring. That's the only guarantee I can give. It's going to be boring. It's never been like this for me since Allardyce was manager. It was terrible when he was there. Absolutely terrible, and it's the same now. And this has got nothing to do with Rafa. That's what gets us about the national press. They think all the Rafa supporters, have got a thing about Steve Bruce, but. Steve Bruce never, he wanted the job because it was more money than Sheffield. This is a personal opinion. He wanted the job because it was more money than Sheffield Wednesday. Not go back twice before. The day would be Sunderland 5-1, Halloween 5-1. I said, the greatest thing come from today was the fact that Steve Bruce will never be managing Newcastle United. And here he is. He's here. I'm sure he's doing the best job he can, but Steve Bruce at the end of the day. If you look around, who else would be available? Chris Hughton's a much better bet than Steve Bruce for me. Chris Hughton. Obviously, if this takeover happens, then eventually hopefully we'll get bigger and better things, But then Mike Ashley, the fact he got Rafa was great. But I just, Steve Bruce is a player, he started off Gillingham, went to Norwich, was at Man United, and he's a Man United fan. He is. He's a Man United fan, and he went to a couple of away games when he was a kid in the Newcastle scarf, but he never mentioned that until he came here as manager. But I just don't know his lineups. The fact that he kept on playing Joe Linton. I don't know if it was pressure from above or whatever, but the fact he kept Joe Linton in the team far too long, and I just don't. There seems to be no method in these. For me, the best football's a simple game. The best, method of defense attack. If you're attacking, if you've got the ball, the other team cannot score, and that's being shown with Aston Villa. They've just gone for it with Grealish this year, and look where they are in the league. I think Team Southampton have gone for it. We're sitting back. Well, you've got the players. It's not as though we haven't got the players to go for it. With Wilson, St. Maxim. What's he called? Miggy. We've got all these players who are fast. We've got two fast fullbacks, and we just seem to sit back, 10 across. 10 players and a goalkeeper. I think if it wasn't for Carl Dorler, would be right down there. He's done amazing. I think we've got, without doubt. Well, for me, he's probably the best English keeper in the league. Honestly, I think he is. I do, honestly, and the Bradford, it's great, but I just think if it wasn't for Darlow, God knows where it would be. You'd like to hope that Bradford would have saved some of the shots as well. I'm sure he would have, but it's worrying because the Premier League isn't brilliant this season. It's not brilliant. It's not a great league, and it's under different circumstances, no supporters and that. So. We could have went third last week, but now I'm looking at the bottom of the table. We're 14th or we're 15th. And then 14th, aren't we? I mean, Leeds are 15th. Great team to watch, but I don't know. I just know I'll be, watching the games and keep my fingers crossed that we'll go for it. Just let's go for it. I think that's what I want to say. In Newcastle, when they keep saying one about we must win things. For me, it's not. It's about everybody who comes to our club, whether you're the chairman, tea lady, or footballer, physio. do your best, give 100%. Always give 100%. That's all we ask. We ask no more. And if you can do that, then we're happy. We wouldn't never slag a player off if it's 100%.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you're right. Eddie Bates, you must have missed it. Might be tuning in slightly late. Any chance of reprinting the black and white Daft Book? He's definitely going to look at it. NUFC sufferer. There's a few people bought them on eBay already tonight. See, you're missing sales, Mick. Just bought the book as well. £13.11 off eBay. Loads of. Yeah,
it's the best. I tell you what, it's the best £13.11 you've ever spent.
Well, I agree. Keith Rose says one of the best bits of memorabilia I remember being at the back page was Lee Clark's signed football boot from the game he scored in when Fulham beat Man United.
That's correct. Yes, I've still got those boots. Aye.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, we are raising. We are raising money for children in need, and the NUFC Matters team has really made an effort with this tonight. And we did promise we would do different things if we got a certain amount. I'm afraid we've smashed it. We should have actually aimed higher. We should have had more faith in the people donating. To the people, and there's been that many going through. I think Ian Hutchinson was one. I know George Hayes is another. Ian Hutchinson put in £250, and George Hayes has put in £300. 550 quid between the two of them. That's an amazing gesture. I know it's in dollars, so George has put another 100 quid in to top it up to make sure it's 300 quid. But that smashed all hopes we had. We were hoping to get to 500, and just want to thank everybody. I'm sure it was just to see Spenny as a woman and to see Kendall sing. So Kendall, over to you.
Oh no, I don't like that introduction. That was like, go on, do it. Like, you know, when you're like under pressure, they're like, go on, do it. Okay, I'm going to give you a bit of All I Want for Christmas Is You, since I am wearing tinsel because I couldn't find my Santa hat. But I don't even think I had a Santa hat. I think I made that up. But yeah, brilliant. Okay, let's go. Right. I don't want a lot for Christmas. There is just one thing I need. I don't care about the presents underneath the Christmas tree. I just want you for my own, more than you could ever know. Make my wish come true. All I want for Christmas is two.
Hey, fantastic. I see what you did there. Brilliant. Kendall. Kendall, have a good night. I know you're working on another podcast tonight.
Yes,
and I'll see you on Monday. Take care. Have a great weekend.
See you on Monday. I love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Great to have Kendall on. Mitch, now we did have you lined up, Mitch, for Down in a Pint. And now you've got your internet connection back. I just wanted to make it simple for you. So if you're ready at some point, you can get your glass filled. We can do that in the next 10 minutes. Yeah, we can do that as well, mate. But we'll move on. We'll move on to our next subject. And I want to talk about what's happened at the Premier League meetings this week. Steve Hastie, the pay-per-view, the pay-per-view. Well, yeah. I mean, the pay-per-views, let's start with that and then go into how Richard Masters looked. He looked drained. He didn't really seem to be taking control of something he was in control of. And then we had the head of the FA hanging himself by Zoom. I mean, I don't know, pick the bones out of that, Steve.
You know what? I mean, pay-per-view was a disaster waiting to happen. And it was obvious. I mean, it was obvious from the very first 10 minutes that it was announced what they were going to do, that the fans right across the country knew that this was an absolute ridiculous thing for them to go out. But did they ever listen to fans? No, they never, ever listened to fans. Fans are the last people that they want to listen to. So they went ahead and they got absolutely assassinated, didn't they? They got wiped out. They got humiliated like you've never known because of their intransigence and stupidity. And these are people who are running a company that turns over billions of pounds. You know, turnover is absolutely massive. And these are the executives of the Premier League who thought they could get away with that. And the power of fans, which people laugh about, Steve. People, you know, it's this sort of like, it's this misnomer that fans have no power or whatever. But when fans come together, they have a massive, massive voice. And it was Newcastle fans that started it with the charity not pay-per-view. And it just rolled through. It rolled through the fan base of clubs in the Premier League. And okay, we had the food banks, and that shouldn't even exist. Food banks shouldn't exist, but we'll keep the politics out of it. And there you immediately had something that everybody could hook onto. And still the Premier League didn't get it. Still Masters didn't get it. He didn't have the brain. He didn't have the nous, and he certainly didn't have the ability to do anything about it, which he could have. And they let it roll through. And let's face it, it's turned the Premier League into a laughingstock worldwide. There's no question about that. So they then have to come up with this cobbled together, taking weeks and weeks to decide what they're going to do. And they come up with this cobbled together, eventually it's going to be phased out. I mean, they tried to phase it out by suggesting they were going to drop the price to $9.99, which it shouldn't have existed. It shouldn't even been $5.99. It shouldn't have been $14.99. It should have just been free for everybody to watch, because we're not allowed into the games. And if they want to destroy their own brand, fair enough. Let them destroy their own brand. You know what? I couldn't care less. And I don't think many football fans out there could care less about the brand of the Premier League, quite frankly. Then you get that idiot, absolute idiot Clark running the FA. And we know what he's been up to. We know everything that he's been involved in terms of Project Big Picture and all of that, all of the ramifications that have rolled through, the denials that he's come out with. And you know what? It says something when a man like him has to turn around and he has to turn himself into a racist to get off to be able to escape the flak.
Exactly.
That's what he ended up doing. He sat in front of them. Yeah, he sat in front of them as an excuse. He knew he had an audience in terms of the MPs. And he knew if he said something out of turn, they would pounce on him, and then he'd be able to walk away to get himself up because he's a coward. That's what he was like. That's what he did, Steve. Absolutely. Yeah. And that sums up the people that run the football in this country, whether it's the EFL, that Neil and I have had a pop at continuously, owners and the people at the top. We've seen it with the Premier League, and we've seen it with the absolutely ridiculous people that run the FA. And it goes right across. Why do you want to be a member of the FA? Why do you want to be on an FA council? And we can go back right the way through history. The only reason people are on FA councils is so that they could get a cup final ticket. And you know what? Even a cup final ticket's not worth much now.
Yeah, you're right, mate. You're right. Mitch, what's your take on what's happened at the Premier League this week then, mate?
Yeah, just more of a shambles, isn't it, really? You know, Steve's put it very eloquently at the end of the day. I mean, Clark's removal was just the perfect pulling of an ejector seat tab, wasn't it? He just found his way out by basically making him look like a right asshat, you know. Parry knows that if he'd got any of the EFL clubs, so many of those owners would have taken any money that Parry would have gotten. He knew that, and he knew the position he was in. So he was quite happy just to play that game and hope he managed to sneak away with it behind everybody's backs and get the Project Big Picture through. Masters didn't look terribly comfortable in his interview either. Didn't come across very well again. The guys in the media department, the Premier League, must dread him getting in front of a camera these days. And there's yet people who are governing the top flight of football in our country. What an absolute mess. This was a perfect situation for the FA to step back in and take over and make a power grab of their own and take control of football back from the Premier League, from the EFL, from the people at the top, and from the clubs who were making the moves behind everybody else's back. Their answers to that, by the way, were just pathetic. This isn't a power grab. No, really? Why does it look very much like one then? You know, and so that performances were terrible, but we expect anything less? Not really. I actually no. I think our maybe expected a little bit more than what they gave, and none of the three came out of it smelling of roses at all. It's just like I said, this was the time the FA could have stepped forward and genuinely been the saviour of the game in England. and made themselves heroes to everybody, fans and clubs and owners and everybody alike. Instead, you've got somebody bumbling around fully involved with the power grab, who then basically gets out of jail free by playing his own racist card. Ridiculous. Really. Ridiculous. And it makes me wonder where everything's headed now. Because if these are the buffoons in charge, what next?
Exactly.
And who takes over the role at the FA? And I've got an awful feeling it's going to be a token appointment. Somebody who may actually be not up to the job either. Pathetic. Really pathetic.
Before I come to Mick, Mitch, have you got your pint glass filled so you can fulfill your challenge? You've got to, I want you to do it in this way.
Oh, Ashley style.
Ashley style, yeah. So this is Mitch's challenge for children in need. Will he get it on? Will he get anything on his shirt? Nah, he's in it. Well done, son. Well done. Quality, son. Hair of the dog. Stu Penman will be proud of you. I just want to put this suggestion up that I had on the screen there before from Diane Burns. She says, I'm going to order a present off the Backpage website now. Just a thought, but if all Newcastle fans buy one present, this wonderful shop is there forever. So if you're looking for a Newcastle United gift, get yourself onto the Backpage's website tonight and have a look. As I said, there's some fantastic stuff on there. What's the website again there, Mick?
If you just put Backpage Newcastle into Google, it'll come up, but it's the actual things, tbpsportsmemorabilia.com. .co.uk, TBP, the Backpage, sportsmemorabilia.co.uk. They're great, the mats. We've got some great new stock as well. You know, these mats are great. We design everything ourselves, and you kind of get this stuff anywhere else, you know. The doorbell response times, go back to that one, Steve, the doorbell response. To alcohol, 1.5 seconds. Take away 2.8 seconds. Mates, 1 minute. Mother-in-law, out, and Mattins will move. That's the kind of stuff. When we first opened in the Metro Centre, we thought, so obviously, you think there'll be a few Sunderland fans, so got a few Sunderland bits and pieces, but the anti-Sunderland stuff outsells the Sunderland stuff by about 1,000 to 1. The anti-Mackham stuff, all tongue in cheek, a bit of crap, That's a new baby range. Mackham's make me puke. It's good quality stuff, good quality with a bit of fun.
Yeah, you've got to have it.
Diane, that's brilliant, Diane. I agree with your text. That's brilliant. And
good stuff.
So I tell you what, the back page will give £50 to children need. So if you put £50 on for us.
Well done, mate.
Brilliant. Thanks.
That's for Diane's tweet. That's for Diane's message. That's brilliant.
Thanks, mate. Good stuff. So, what's your take on the Premier League stuff this week, Mick? I mean, they've stood in the way of the takeover. They've spoiled our new year. What's your take on what's gone on there this week?
I totally agree with what the lads have said. But I go back to what I said about Newcastle fans. Newcastle fans want everybody in a black and white shirt who works for the club to give 100%. Same with the FA, same with FIFA. Yeah. These people have paid astronomical amounts of money. I mean, you've got that Gordon Taylor at the PFA. I mean, seriously, how long's he been there? He's done nothing, man. He does nothing. I mean, the travel the world first class, they get, things thrown at them. And as well as doing this on the take, they're doing things behind the back and dodgy things. And, it's just pals for, favours for old mates, so to speak. It needs a clean out. Gary Lineker make him president, the chairman of the FA. Gary Lineker, man. That's how it should be. Instead of BBC paying him whatever, the FA pay him that. There's that much money in football. Match his wage. I'm sure he'd love that job. I'm sure he'd be bloody good at it as well. We need more ex-footballers, It goes back to the Lord Westwood thing when he was chairman of the FA and he couldn't run our football club. No, I mean the FA, So
it's true.
It's true, and he was chairman there.
You're talking.
When we had the toilets, we didn't have a roof on the Gallagher end. We didn't have a roof since 1978 on the Leazes end, and we're having to The toilets were in the Gallagher. Remember the Gallagher toilets, man?
How can you forget them?
Oh, terrible!
Exactly.
That's what. But that he was running our club then, and he was chairman of the FA.
Aye.
It
was like an advert for
sad,
World of Bitumen, wasn't it?
Sorry.
Ah.
What?
It was like an advert for World of Bitumen.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right,
that's why people used to do it on the terraces.
I'm going to look for suggestions now because people are still donating. I want a suggestion. So again, Steve, I know you're going to write the donations down, but if you can, maybe just tot up if we get more than one suggestion. More than one suggestion for the song, mate. Well, I'll try and do that. You keep an eye on the money. I've got my email set up here. What I'll do is I'll try and track them down in there.
I'll do my best. I didn't know I was your secretary tonight, mate.
I tell you, you're doing a great job, mate. You should have dressed like Spenny.
I tell you what, Gordon Taylor's on £4 million a year.
What?
Wow.
As the head of a union. Name a union that pays somebody £4 million a year.
$4 million a year.
That's unbelievable, you know. Christ almighty. You know, I think he put in £400,000 over about 5 years to look at the effects that mental health was having, or the impact of heading the ball. Shira's thing, the program that Shira did, it's like £400,000 to look at that, and yet he gets paid $4 million, and even then he kicked it into the long grass. He's an idiot, man.
Yeah, no,
£5. I noticed that one.
Yeah. So Steve, you know, we're in an international break. No games this weekend. You know, we know how we all feel about, you know, the potential next 5 games. I think, you know, we're looking towards, you know, Christmas and then the new year. I mean, how are you feeling about the takeover? We've been really positive all the way through on this show. We haven't really, you know, really had a major wobble. We've had a period where we thought when PIF pulled out, it was all over. But obviously, we've got the fans consortium pushing ahead. We've got you know, positive noises we feel that are still coming out of our connections. What's your take on it? And I know Mick's got some interesting take on this as well. But we'll come to you first, Steve, then Mitch, and then Mick. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's still there. It's still ongoing. It's moving around in the background. The fans consortium is very, very interesting proposal. It's very interesting that I think it's like a week and a half now since they knocked back the Premier League when the Premier League asked for more time, and we all know that's what the Premier League are all about: kicking everything into touch, kicking things into the long grass, knocking it down the road. And the fans consortium were not having any of that. They've got a very, very good QC working for them. Those lads know what they're doing. They know how this isn't something that they've made up and something that they've just pulled out of the woodwork, by the way. This is something that they've had planned and have been working on for quite some time. And the fact that the Premier League wanted more and more time to really push this, and the lads have turned around and said no. And the lads were quite within their rights to say no, by the way, because if my information is correct, the Premier League had been notified by supporters, not just these 2 supporters who have taken the case, but other supporters, that situations were building and there was the possibility that they were going to be answerable for their actions. So that alone tells you that the Premier League had time to prepare. And this is an organisation, again, we're talking about a £6 billion turnover a year organisation. They shouldn't need time to prepare a response to 2 fans writing a letter before action. They should have lawyers that could come back on that and said, see you in court, or there's your answer that you're looking for, or whatever. But they haven't. They've done what they've done every other time, and they're trying to kick things into the long grass. And it's an insult to supporters, an insult to Newcastle United. It's an insult to the people who put legitimate bid in for Newcastle United Football Club. And it's an insult to the people of Saudi Arabia in terms of what they're wanting from a takeover and join what is the Premier League, or what is English football, and to have a club that they can follow in the same way as Qatar have got clubs that they can follow. So everything about it has been set up by the top six to knock back Newcastle United. They're frightened of Newcastle United. They're frightened of what Newcastle United could do with a little bit of money behind them and challenging those clubs at the top. And I mean, I've said it before. You look at the top six, and other than Tottenham, who are run by someone who lives in the Virgin Islands or somewhere like that, all the other clubs, bar Chelsea, are American owned. And we know that there's American link. We know the American link with Qatar. We know that the Americans are very, very good at manipulating situations for their own ends when it comes to purchasing and getting involved in sport. If you look at it, I mean, my situation, my take on it is that football was heading to the east, and the problems that they've had with China and the Far East and politically, and now the Americans have twigged on and went, hang on, let's drag everything away. Let's move it the other way. Let's move it in the other direction. And those venture capitalists are seeing the opportunity that there is to make money. They've seen what Arsenal have done. They've seen how much Kroenke's been able to take out of it. And they're thinking, we can have a bit of this. They've seen what Liverpool and what Liverpool's owners have done by turning into the franchise that they have linked to their other sporting opportunities. And they're thinking, you know what, this is what we want. We want control. We want control of that Premier League. We want control of that football and getting it into, because they've all got their media rights. And the whole takeover situation, as I say, as far as I know, it's still ticking on. It will tick on. And hey, this fans consortium may well produce something that will astound football worldwide if they manage to do what I think they can do. Because if they've got their head screwed on, which I believe they have, and they've got the right people and they've got a case behind them, I think that we could be in for a massive football sea change at Newcastle United very, very soon. Certainly by the start of next season, and hopefully by the new year.
Is the movement of Companies House significant, do you think? As always, we'll have people sitting watching aeroplanes coming in and Companies House movement. Is it significant, Steve?
I don't think so. I don't think it's significant. I think it's from my point of view, I'm just looking at it and thinking this is like an organisation in terms of PIF that are just getting paperwork into place because they'll have plenty of other investment opportunities apart from football that they're looking at. And this is the chairman of PIF that's being named, and I think it's a paperwork exercise, to be perfectly frank. I don't see it as having any impact on the Newcastle United situation.
Okay, Mitch, what's your take on the takeover situation?
Well, there's always going to be stuff happening behind the scenes in Saudi, and it's difficult knowing the situation and knowing how they actually have come out and said, you know, how disappointed they were that things didn't go through. That, you know, you see them forming a media company to bid for rights for Saudi Arabia. Well, there's a thing. Things like that, you know. It's easy to read a lot into it, as Steve says. The movement at Companies House, well, they invest in all sorts. They've got a very diverse investment portfolio. So, yes, it's the same people that were involved potentially in any takeover at Newcastle United, but that's likely to be the case for anything that they're into. So it's really easy to read too much into it. I have to say, it's this end exceptionally quiet in a way that I wish it had always been. In that respect, but you know, there's certainly still rumblings, as Steve rightly says. It's fascinating to see the Premier League response to this letter before action, because as Steve rightly says, the Premier League should be able to answer that like that. We've heard about the limitations of their legal department during the owners and directors test, and eventually outsourcing a lot of the stuff. It seems to me a lot of people in the Premier League sit in a comfort zone, a very comfortable comfort zone. And the one thing this letter before action's done is nudged them way out of that comfort zone. And so these are the kind of pressure points. We've said all along we have to be inventive. We've got to think about it. We've got to come at things from a different angle. I also think as a fan base, we need to remain open-minded to anything. It's very easy to put stuff down. You know, God, we know that going around trying to raise interest in Yes We Can when we started that campaign with the Trust. And it's very easy to put something down that's being done by other people because it isn't your idea, or you don't agree with the idea, or the immediate reaction is to be cynical about it. And I get that. I totally get it. Because we've had more kicks in the gonads than Buster, haven't we, really? It's as a fan base, we've had repeated put downs and disappointments in one way, shape, or form. And so it's easy for our fan base to get jaded and cynical about something. But genuinely, this has moved the Premier League out of their comfort zone. For them to flap and kick it down the road and say, oh, well, hang on, we need a bit more time to deal with this. That's something they should, if it was something that was genuinely not a concern to them, they should have just battered it straight away. But instead, they're flapping and they're out of that comfort zone. And we need more things like that in football. We need, you know, you again bring back the PPV argument. If we hadn't reacted the way we did, and then all the other fans at other clubs started joining in, we'd all be sitting moaning about it, but nothing would have changed. And if you don't do something, if you don't apply pressure, if you don't raise your voice, if you don't stand up to these bullies, they'll continue doing the same thing that they've done to you over and over and over again. And that's what I like about it.
Okay. Mick, you've had some contact with the lads who are putting together the fans consortium, who are busy trying to make a big difference. People who've got a bit of criticism, to be honest, and like everybody tends to do when they're a Newcastle fan and they put their head above the parapet. But you know them, and you've got a bit of an update on that.
Well, I know one, and I know the main guy. So Keith Patterson, he's one of us, you know. He's one of us. He's been black and white all his life. I first met him in about 91, 92. I had my shop in Wallsend, and we're doing the trips to Antwerp and Bilbao, and he did all the printing. He was sales director of a printing company, came in, did all the printing for free, and got to know him there. In Bilbao, he was the drunkest man I've ever seen in a football match. He was, because what happened before the game, if you're on Bilbao, the main street that led to the ground, it was their bank holiday, it was their fiesta, their party, and basically they were giving with it. You couldn't buy a drink, but the only thing was, it wasn't lager they were giving you, it was this roller cola and wine. You know, Peter Kagan's on with roller cola. It was a cheap cola and wine, red wine, and it was awful, but it got you pissed. And so basically what happened was Keith, he had him in a dentist chair style in this bar, and they were pouring it out this big, long, like big, you know, like a big jug thing, you know, like, I don't know what you'd call it, big with a spout on, and they were pouring it, and he was catching his mouth. He was the only Geordie who could do it. So other Geordies were coming in the bar and they're trying to say, no, this is how you do it. So he was showing that many people, he ended up that drunk, you know, he was absolutely mortal. But I've had some great trips with Keith Watford away when he wanted to stay in a hotel. We ended up sleeping in the corner. It was just a wind-up because, you know, he's not short of a penny or two. And that was a wind-up on my behalf, but he wanted to go home to his wife. And I was driving and I had to on purpose at 4 pints, so we couldn't come home that night. We just stayed in St Albans. And you know, we're in Roma together. We've had some great trips. He's like us. He's a lifelong Newcastle United fan and a very successful businessman as well. But he's been here before. There's three things. He wouldn't be doing this and wasting his time because he's put a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of thought, a lot of research. These three things didn't happen. Is the seller still interested in selling the club, mate? Actually, yes, of course he is. Are the buyers still at the table? He believes they are. And do the fans want this? The answer to those things are yes, yes, yes. So it's worth a go. So he's got with Richard Donahue, who's Robert O'Donoghue from Northern Ireland. He's the best QC at competition in the UK. Now, Steve, Rafa's agent, Richard, he got in touch. I met Richard by accident in Liverpool when I went to see Newcastle Preston pre-season, and then did a few nights in, I've met him by accident. And I heard the name mate Ashley, he had a coffee shop, got talking to him and blah, 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 and the rest history. We've kept in touch. And he got in touch straight. We went, how on earth has the person behind this, A, got a hold of this QC, and B, knows about them? So I got, rang Keith up, and he said, he says, we've been mates for years. We've done competition cases before in the UK and the USA, much bigger than this, and we've won them. So Keith's confident. Nothing's guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed in this world. Keith is very confident because where the Premier League have failed, they keep using the word confidential. Now, in competition, the word confidential does not exist. It doesn't exist. It's a competition. It's unfair. There's no confidentiality in competition. And this is where they've got the Premier League. So, at worst, the people involved, which could be Premier League, beIN Sports, Liverpool, Spurs, Man United, maybe some other bigger clubs we don't know about, could be, right, the directors will get struck off if they lose this case. And also, the maximum fine is 10% of their worldwide turnover, right? 10% fined, 10%. Yeah. This is massive. It's massive. Now, Keith has been there, seen it, done it. As I say, and I've got it, there's no guarantees. But I know Keith, and I tell you what, he might be a piss pot on the wine in Bilbao in the 90s, but he's very, very, very educated. He's a proper, you meet him in the street, he's like meeting me. He's just a daft Geordie, loves Canter match, loves the pain, loves the crack, and likes a little bit on the side. But like Keith Patterson is like, he's one of us, but he's very clever as well, and he wouldn't be wasting his time, and he wouldn't be giving people false hopes. So it's one of those where, the only way to get rid of Masters and Hoffman is to go down this channel. And I'm quite confident. That I think it's a time issue. Which, I mean, what will probably happen, what Keith thinks will happen, is that they'll not go to court with this. They'll come out of it, and basically it would be done away from court. A fair hearing, that's all we want, a fair hearing away from court. And if that happens, they may drop the legal action. They may, but it's not guaranteed. But, heads could roll here. They've already, after a week, they've, tried to ask more time, which haven't been given. And this is what it's been about all along, stalling. I think we've got so much on the plate at the moment with, the pay-per-view, the TV companies must be, thinking what's going on here. We've got no fans in the stadium. The product's not what it was. With COVID, when will we ever get back to it? And the pressure's on. And the last thing they need is this. So hopefully, the sellers, the buyers, are still interested, still at the table. And if the deal goes through, then, they might stop the legal. They might, he said, we may stop the legal battle, but only if the takeover goes through. But all we're asking, all Keith's asking for is like a fair playing field, a fair playing field, not a corrupt one. So, whatever you do in life, people are going to criticise you, though. Of course they are. But all I can say from a personal point of view, I mean, I've been on the phone to Keith for an hour today. We speak 3 times a week. We're really good mates, and some of the lads have met him, and he's a great kid. He's a great lad, and he's doing it because 3 things he's doing it for. One is to see the takeover happen. 2, so supporters like us and Keith, who's been going since 1970. My first game was 71. We missed the Fairs Cup. We've never seen, we just want the best. We want to challenge with the best, challenge with the best. That's the other thing, to compete at the top of the table, instead of just struggling on year by year. We're 52,000 fans every week, man. And that's without winning the trophy. I mean, we've never won the League Cup. FA Cup was 55, the League 27. We've never won anything in that period of time. Before the Munich air disaster in 58, I'm going off on a tangent. Before the Munich air disaster, which was a horrible event in 1958, Newcastle United had only had smaller crowds than Man United 13 seasons out of 70. It's like we're a big club, we're a huge club, and of course, if you win FA Cups and League Championships, and I mean, Arsenal have won since we turned up in '98. I put this on Twitter the other day. '98 Cup final at Wembley, Arsenal Newcastle. When we turned up for that game as supporters, since then they've won the FA Cup 8 times. They've won the FA Cup 8 times, and they're still mourning.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It is. It's mental. You make your point. You make your points well. Everyone's enjoying here. You're on. Go on, Steve. You were going to make a point.
Yeah. I was going to say the other thing, Mick, is that when we played Liverpool in '74, we had a better record in the FA Cup. We had won it 6 times. We haven't won it since. And then Arsenal, when they beat were in '98, I think that made them 6.
That's right.
So they equalled with. They might have gone up over
7,
the mathematically, but I'm sure they equalled with. Yeah, they equalled were, and you look at that. The record we had was with 10 finals, 10 finals, 6 wins. That was in '74, and that's not very long ago in football history. And I know people go on about stats, and the Americans love stats, and everybody loves stats, but that's what we were like, And getting back to Keith Pattinson. I mean, Neil and I know Keith simply because, and maybe some of the younger fans might appreciate this, but when NUFC started, which was the pre-runner to NUST, we had the initial protest after the whole game. We had the meetings in the Irish Centre, and then we had a group of fans who got together, and one lad stood up and said, "You know what? Because we want it was decided. Let's do a what we call a letter drop. Let's do a leaflet. Let's put something out there." And let's canvass fans as they go in and hand them leaflets, and they can join with everybody else and come together. And that lad stood there and put all the money up and got the stuff printed out of his own pocket. That's the sort of lad we're talking about. We're not talking about some has-been. We're talking about someone, is exactly what you said, Mick, who knows Newcastle United, who has supported Newcastle United, and will support the supporters of Newcastle United and put his money where his mouth is. Yeah. And he's a genuine, proper Geordie.
Yes.
And that's, for me, says everything.
Yeah.
I back up what you're saying, but for me, everything that you've said is absolutely showing the passion of what Newcastle fans are about, Mick. Absolutely 110, 120, however many percent we want to talk about.
Brilliant, man. Brilliant. It's all positive, lads, and that's what we want to hear, and that's what we've done all the way through, and God, let's hope it goes through. Sav, welcome to the show. Before I come to your wonderful Borat impersonation, which we've had fantastic donations, and I'm convinced that's why people have donated the most, because we've been going on about it for weeks. Dave Harrison quite rightly points out, would like to pay our respects to John Hayes of Hayes Travel, who's died suddenly at work today. Rest in peace, John. I didn't know him, but obviously, like everybody in the Northeast, you will have heard of John Hayes. Him and his good lady went out of the way to offer people a job when Thomas Cook went bust. Yep. And unfortunately, he took them on and gave them jobs out of his own heart, and just sad to hear another good person has gone today, and our thoughts are with the Hayes family and everybody who works for Hayes Travel. Sav, looking forward to this, mind. You apparently can do a Borat impersonation. How hard has it been to try and find a clean phrase or passage? to see.
It took me till midday to find something that no one was going to be offended by. I have watched so many clips of Borat today. I'm like, what the hell? And also, you were supposed to be singing before me, Steve, and now I've been called on.
Well. Listen, what we're going to do is because it looks categorically that Fog on the Tyne is won by an absolute landslide, and reason being, I know Steve was trying to mark them down as well. I've got some great suggestions, especially after the week I've had. Rock and Troll Christmas, Stay Another Day by E17. I quite like that. It's my favourite Christmas song. Going Underground, in reference to me going with a film crew down to Australia. Mandy, of course, by Barry Manilow, which would be great for Amanda Staveley, of course. Monster Mash, something to do with Steve Bruce. My Way got 2 votes, but that hasn't got enough. Little White Bull, in respect to the man who used to do it, of course, on the terraces. Tommy used to do Little White Bull, but it only got 1 vote. Show Must Go On by Queen, of course, got a suggestion. I'm Too Sexy got a couple, but a couple's not good enough. House of the Rising Sun, which is my karaoke song, unfortunately only got 1 vote. I Will Survive by Gloria Gaynor, a good effort by Katie and Co to try and get us to sing that. Couldn't have held that note, but that hasn't won either. Coming Home Newcastle, done it, and I've actually recorded a version of that years ago with Paul Martin. Only got 2 votes. Living Troll, very good. I could have done that. I could have done the young ones version of that. Eye of the Tiger, of course. Blitzkrieg Bop as well was another one. So plenty of suggestions, but Fog on the Tyne won it. So I've been on the WhatsApp group. I'm going to do all the verses of Fog on the Tyne, and some of the NUFC Matters family are going to come on and do the chorus with us. So that'll be around about 7:45. Mick's kindly agreed to do one as well. Mick's got a secret. So if we can get another, let's say another £100 in before 5 to 8, before we shut the show off, Mick's got a secret to reveal, and he's told us what the secret is, and I didn't know it. So it's a good secret, well worth listening to. So if we don't get another £100, you're not here Mick's secret, but use the donate button at the bottom, the little dollar sign. Steve, have you got a running total?
I got a grade C. I didn't even get it. I got a grade 2 CSE maths in the 1970s. I didn't even get an O level. So you're gonna have to, obviously you'll know better than me once the show's over. But I've got it somewhere in the region of £748.66.
Wow.
Plus about $409.99. Somebody asked me if I could convert to dollars. The answer is no. I can't. Because I've got a grade 2 CSE.
No, well, look, it'll be great. It'll be great to get to another £100.
I went to St Mary's. I went to St Mary's Tech on Benton Park Road where Ian Mains went, and it just shows you he got the proper teaching. I never.
Okay, Sav, I've given you enough time. I know you've had enough Dutch courage. Over to you for your Borat impersonation.
Do you know, just quickly, if I'd had notice of this before this morning, I'd have got myself a little stick-on mustache. But the dog ripped the letters out my letterbox this morning and broke my letterbox in the process. So I got my letterbox for, just to get in character.
Oh, God, that's it. Okay, here we go. Drum roll.
Go ahead. Jörg Schmidt, pleased to meet you. My name is Borat. My neighbor, Naftan Teleguay, he is a pain in my assholes. I get a window from a glass. He must get a window from a glass. I get a step. He must get a step. I get a clock radio. He cannot afford. Great success.
It was worth the wait. Sav, absolutely brilliant. You've been a great sport, and thank you for doing it. And good to have you on. And we'll see you back on. We'll see you back on in about 20 minutes to come and join me, embarrass myself singing Fog on the Tyne.
Okay, see you then.
Bye. Thank you. Good stuff. Brilliant. All right, got about half an hour, well, 35 minutes left, including a bit of singing, which is going to be hilarious, I'm sure. Obviously, we've got a little bit more.
Can I just say, Steve?
Yeah, go on.
I'm doing now because I'm wearing the Alan Pardew specs, especially for tonight, by the way.
Great stuff. Great stuff. We've had a lot on Twitter, other than what else has been going on about about Steve Bruce. We've talked about it before. Mick, I'm going to come to you first and talk about it. What's your views on Steve Bruce as a manager? And we've had Malcolm MacDonald on the show every week, and he always talks about the managerial position. And I don't think anyone's particularly happy with him. But with this ongoing situation with a potential takeover in the background, is there any point in sacking him? Is there any point, or would you keep him? What's your view? We know what our views have been. What's your view on Steve Bruce?
Well, I've partly mentioned before that I would never have had him as manager. And now he is. Yeah, he's never done anything to change my mind about that. I mean, the fact, I don't want to go slagging players off, and I don't like doing that. But especially, I'd never do that at a football ground. But like, personal view, what's Hendricks doing? I mean, he got Bentalab at the club last season. He's got Hendricks this season. He's nowhere near as good as Matty and Sean Longstaff. We've got John Joe Shelby to play in that position. We've got Matt Ritchie to come back. We've got so many. If you're going to buy a player, just don't buy anybody. I mean, he's a free transfer from Burnley, for God's sake. And I just don't see what he brings to the team. I don't think he brings anything to the team, and he's still playing him. I think, Matty Longstaff and Sean Longstaff, that when on the ball, they go forward, they try. If the ball forward is on, play it. Do not play back or sideways. Play the ball forward, and Hendricks doesn't do that. He gives it the opposition quite a lot as well. But it's not so much his tactics. I don't think he's got any tactics, but it's not so much his tactics and negative football. It's his personnel who he picks. He keeps on picking people who aren't up to it when there are better players at the club. So that's not a good start. I just can't see where, I mean, the daft thing is, we'll probably go and win it. Typically, Newcastle United, we're probably going to win the League Cup. And that would be great, but it wouldn't be, because none of it can be there. We've waited years and years and years. And so, do I want Newcastle United to get beaten? No, I would never ever say that. But last season, when we got knocked out of the FA Cup, after you want to win, you're cheering them on, and you want to beat Man City. But then after the game, you think, well, thank God, at least it's not going to be. We're not going to win a trophy in an empty Wembley. Do I want to win a trophy in an empty Wembley? Yes, but I prefer to be there. But with Bruce, this is a different season. So if this takeover could happen at Christmas, could happen before the end of the season, as long as you don't slip out of the Premier League, I think that's the most important thing, that would stay. If you can keep up, because it's a nothing season. It's just crap in it. It's rubbish. It's rubbish. We're not going to the games, man. There's no fans at the games. It's just rubbish. And the football's on, and I watch it. And other games, I do watch them. Especially with this lockdown, it's something to do. And I'm gutted there's an England weekend, because you miss the football. But it's not. I mean, it's not what it was. It's not. So would I keep him? Who else would there be? Who would come short term? Chris Hughton's at Terrace now. I thought he was badly treated by the club. He'd done a great job. I don't know who would come. Who would want here. But obviously, the takeover happens, and hopefully we'll get a top quality manager.
What's your take of Joe Linton? Quickly, Mick, Swag Dog Destroyer says, what's his take of Joe Linton? Bill Burnett asked me, what am I going to give my opinion of him yet? Now, he's still got one more game. He didn't come on in a game, so he's got one more game. But what about you, Mick?
Joe Linton, the thing is, right, I played a good standard of football when I was younger. And like football, I was proved with Callum Wilson, when Joe Linton runs the line and he pretends he's going for the ball. And there's nothing worse than pretending. Give 100%. Callum Wilson, one of his first games, he ran the line when they're passing it back and fannying on at the back, and the goalkeeper, it rebounded. Nearly scored a goal because he was going for the ball. He wasn't just doing it for the crowd, doing it to make it look good. If you watch Joe Linton go to any video that he's played for Newcastle United, he's not interested in getting the ball. He's never gone for the ball. He'll run from one defender to the other, just ambles. Whereas Callum Wilson, Shearer, used to be chasing, You know, and the panic, they kick it out for a throw in, and you might win the ball, but you're on the attack again. Don't like pretenders in football. People who pretend, go through the motions. And I used to say this to people who were, then straight away, Callum Wilson, proper, like David Kelly. David Kelly was me in a black and white shirt. I'm sure we'll all agree. David Kelly was just fantastic. He tried, he sweated, he would just give everything for Newcastle United, and that's what I want with a striker. Alan Shearer was the same. You want them chasing Andy Cole as well. You want them chasing and trying to win the ball. I don't like pretenders, so I've got no time whatsoever for Joe Linton. And people say, he had his best game today. He passed through 3 balls to our players. Right. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not his fault we bought him. It's not his fault he's here. And if he give 100%, then I wouldn't knock him. I'd say, well, he's not up to standard. But I don't think he gives 100%. I don't.
Okay, we know what our opinion is on Steve Bruce. So I've just seen a question in the chat there, Mitch. I'll come to you, mate. Dwight Gale and Matt Ritchie are coming back, mate. Photographed in training this week. How important is their return going to be to this squad?
I think the one thing Ritchie brings is drive and a bit of passion. But I mean, the trouble is what's Bruce actually planning on doing? Like I said before, there doesn't seem to be a plan. There's just no plan at all. We went with the same team against Southampton because it seemed to work the previous time. And that seemed to be the only rationale for picking that team. I don't like how isolated Wilson is. He's like bloody Tom Hanks's mate on a desert island, desperate for service and desperate for help. And that's the difference between him and Joe Linton, is at least he works his backside off to try and get involved and do something about it instead of just sort of floating and not giving it his all. And we'll get no doubt we'll get the usual like new signings crap that comes out from clubs when players come back from injury. It's super frustrating because you just really genuinely don't know what you're going to get out the squad, don't know what you're going to get out the team. Bruce still seems to pick his teams by random. You just look at it and say, what is the plan? And we don't seem to have a plan. And I'm tired of watching we concede 70+% of possession. I'm tired of having a goalkeeper who's got the greatest set of stats in the division. He shouldn't have to have that. I just find it all really disheartening at the moment. It's very difficult to watch our side at the minute. Yeah. We're a very, very, very difficult watch. And I hate saying that about Newcastle because, we should all be loving it.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd quite happily take a season like Arsenal had when they won the league by winning so many games 1-0 because at least they had a plan. At least they looked organised. At least they looked like they knew what they were doing. We don't.
Yeah, okay. Paul Oxley just asked a quick question to Mick. Yeah. Can you remember Keith Spraggan?
Of course I do, Keith Spraggan. Keith Spraggan, Keith Spraggan in Gaza used to get picked up by a Middlesbrough scout, to a Parsons scout, Davy Lloyd. We used to train at Middlesbrough in Academy at Gateshead Leisure Centre on a Thursday night. We used to train there. Then on a Sunday, we used to go down to Middlesbrough and get picked up in a caravan. Me, Keith Spraggan, Paul Gascoigne. We used to go down there. And then, funny enough, I was on trial at Ipswich, and who was there? Keith Spraggan, Gaza, me, at Ipswich as well. And in Newcastle, I don't think Keith was ever at Newcastle, but I was a great player. In fact, true story, Brian Clark from Walker, who really found Gaza, he was asked to go and watch Keith Spraggan by Brian Watson, the Newcastle chief scout. And he went across the Gateshead and when the Jubilee Club and Walk on the Sunday night, and Brian Watson's saying, right there, how did Spraggan play? How did your boy play today? He was good. But there's this kid they call Bamba, because we used to call Gaza Bamba Gascoigne. We used to call him Bamba. There's this kid Bamba in midfield. Paul Gaza. He's a bit tubby, but he's a great player. And Brian Watson and Brian Clark actually had a fight in the Jubilee Club that night. To Brian Clark, because he's saying, I haven't got a clue with football. I haven't got a clue with footballers. Brian Clark was telling about this Paul Gascoigne instead of Keith Spraggan. But Keith was a good player. Last time I saw him was in Idols, and he's the size of me. He's a good lad.
Mick, I just want to quickly touch on what you've been through as well, because you've had a run in with the dreaded COVID, Mick, and you know, it was awful to hear. What happened, and how did you get through it?
Well, it's a message for everybody out there that this isn't a joke. This is serious stuff. If I was to tell you, I had headaches, and I thought it was. I'd been to Liverpool and I fell asleep on the toilet and I'd banged my head on the like towel rail, the metal towel rail. And I got back and I was fine, got back to Newcastle, I was fine. Then about after 5 days, I started getting a headache and I was feeling exhausted. So I ended up going to the RVI and I went in accident emergency A&E and they looked at us and didn't test us for COVID. They sent us away and I was fine. And then that was a Wednesday, and then on the Friday, the police found us in my house. They reckon it could have been 3 or 4 hours from death, you know. I didn't know where I was, what was going on. Didn't know what day it was, what time it was. I couldn't speak. And they took me straight away, about an hour and a half outside my house in the ambulance, and then took me to the QE and straight into intensive care, which I was there for 6 nights, and basically they offered us a drug, they call it the Donald Trump drug that they give to the hospitals. They give them the and said that basically I said, what's the side effects? Don't know. I've only been using it for a couple of weeks, and so then they give it the free, the NHS, and I was on a steroid as well. And I says, so you got to sign these papers to take it. I went, right. So he says, well, it might save your life. And I was, all right. So I signed it. I thought, he said, might save my life here. And then I had the COVID test, and then 11:30 that night, I was in the intensive care in this room, and the basic nurse come up and she held my hand to start stroking the back of it and said, so sorry to tell you, you've got COVID. I went, all right. And she like, look, and I thought, I don't think my chances are very good here. And basically said, you're really ill. And it wasn't until after I got out of hospital, I was in 16 days, that on my form to give to my doctor, I got a copy, and I'd had pneumonia as well as a result of COVID. So what do you imagine, what the specialist said to me, that basically COVID, so you've got your lungs, big bag, and basically COVID is a small balloon and it grows. And it takes up all the space and takes all the oxygen. So that's why people with asthmatics and people like that, and older people who don't breathe as easily, it's worse for them. And basically, it just grows and grows and grows. Well, this drug, and also they give us loads of blasts of oxygen. And I had to. I said if I did 2 hours, I was doing well. I did about 6 hours on the first night. When they say you're fighting for your life, you're not lying there with loads of tubes, and you actually are fighting for your life. And it was horrendous getting this air blown in. I mean, it was horrendous. It was horrible. And every minute you're thinking, that's it, I've had enough. And you just keep on. And the second night I did about 4 hours and 3 hours, and basically said, you've done amazing, and you could, so after 6 nights it took us off. I went on the COVID ward, and everyone's got space suits on, honestly, just people have got to stay safe and really, and if you've got a headache and fatigue, that they're bigger symptoms, because the people on my ward, that was their symptoms. I had a metal taste in my mouth, but that didn't come the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I didn't have a sore throat. I didn't have loss of smell, loss of appetite. So, you've got to be really, really careful. And one of the reasons we're coming on here at night was, obviously, is to let people know about this, because it's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. And she took John, Library John went, we've lost Library John, and I've just heard something awful today, but my cousin's partner, she's got it for the second time. Oh. Now in hospital, I was told it was 1,000,000 to 1 chance that I would get it again. She's a nurse at the QE, not on the COVID ward, and my mum spoke to my mum earlier, and she has got it for the second time. She's tested positive for the second time. The first time was, I guess, April, May. So it can come back. So that's not so good news, you know. And they said at the time she had antibodies as well. So that's really worrying. But you've got to stay safe. I mean, my mum's black and white through and through. She had a season ticket. She was 78, and she's 90 now, you know, and I can't really go and see her. I do her shopping and basically take it in, and she's got to go out the room and everything and kind of see me kids, the grandkids. But you've got to stay safe. You've got to.
Yeah, it's not a joke. It's not a joke. And as Mick says, he's been through it. And
we were in the hospital, and you know, I met some couple of great characters in there, Frankie and you know, like, and like, we were just shouting at the telly. You know, you had, I think it was Right Said Fred were on the news, and somebody else saying, "Oh, don't wear masks, don't wear masks. Seriously, wear masks. Wash your hands, wear masks, keep the distance." It's, you know, this isn't you know, hopefully the vaccine's going to work. You know, hopefully this vaccine is going to work, because they said the drugs I was taking, and it was the start of looking for the vaccine. This would help towards the vaccine, you know. So just honestly, I was so close, so close. And the staff at the QE are absolutely amazing. Every single one of them, brilliant. Honestly, absolutely amazing, just great. So
I'm glad you're okay, mate. I see, yeah, we're all concerned, and sorry to hear on the chat there, Derek Sharp. He's one of our regular viewers, that he's lost his mum on Tuesday to COVID. I'm really sorry to hear that, Derek. And I've seen that there's a lot of people on the chat already passing on their best to you. May you rest in peace, mate. And I hope you're all right. And make sure, as you know, we do our phone a friend, you know, campaign. We'll be playing out with it in about 15 minutes time. But if you do know anybody who you haven't spoken to for a while, maybe who lives on their own, even if it's a family member who you haven't spoken to, your mum, your dad, your uncle, your auntie, your sister, your brother, whatever, give them a ring, phone a friend. Obviously, just, you know, make sure they're all right, check on them. Try and do, if you can do one a day, great, but even one a week, it will make a big difference. It'll put a smile on someone's face. Please do it. You know, it is very, 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 very important. Steve, I'm going to ask you to start totting up, mate, because we do want to give some kind of total, but we have to bear in mind that we're going to have to make sure that it's there's another. I'm just going to get these final donations on there. Look, there's another £10 there, and another £4.99 from Neil McMillan. Big shout out. Normally, I would shout out and thank everybody. It's been impossible because you've all been so generous. We'll do our best. We've got an independent watcher as well. I think John from Cutex been watching cannily as well. I think #9Talk has been watching as well. So we'll come up with it. Chris, I think from USA, has been watching as well. So if we'll just double check, go through it all. I don't get this money usually for about 2 months, but what I will do is I will pay it tonight, and I will wait to get this money in from YouTube. So I'll pay it so that children in need get it, and work out the best way to do it. And I'll stick it up on my Twitter, and I'll take a screenshot of it and stick it up on the show tomorrow. And there is a show tomorrow. A lot of people saying, is there going to be anything? Are we doing anything? Well, yes, because there's no match. What we tend to do is we tend to do a replay of a game, and we do a little bit of commentary with the team. All the guys from around the world come on, and we look back on a game. So tomorrow, 3 o'clock, join us for Sunderland versus Newcastle. Alan Shearer's very last game in a black and white shirt down at the dark side of the northeast, and we'll be doing a retro replay live. You'll be able to play the link from Newcastle United's YouTube, and we will be doing our commentary on the game, talking about that game, talking about that era, talking about Alan Shearer. It'll be a great, great night. Really, really looking forward to it. Right, as you know, we've been doing challenges. Have you got a total, Steve, for children in need tonight?
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, I keep telling you, I've got a grade 2 CSE, so it's I'm at £798.63p, but I might have missed a few. And I'm also on $709. And I know loads of people have given us the exchange rate. You can blow that out. Well, I'm not into that, mate. I'm
Steve,
not into that.
Steve, the good news is we aim tonight for £500. We aimed for we aimed for £500, and we've definitely smashed that.
That must take at least up to 1,200 quid, Steve. Very roughly, you know.
We'll work it out. Geordie Deadeye says, remember that YouTube take their cut of these super chats, so I will find out exactly what that is. As I say, it's the first time we've used this ever. So, like to get these kind of donations for charity. So we will look at it. I'll work out what you've got from your total. We'll go back through it, and if for any reason it seems as if it's slightly short, or if I end up paying too much, then I'll count that as my extra donation. And I know Mick from the back page has kindly said he's going to put 50 quid in as well, which is fantastic. So we will come up with
I've included that.
Wonderful. Well, we'll come up with a total.
You're safe, Mick. You're safe.
What?
He's not going to do you that twice.
No, it's good. Look, it's absolutely fantastic that people have done this, and we want to thank everybody for watching. As I said, I would do a song. I'm glad to say that at least it's one I won't sound too out of tune with. I have got some able assistants though. We've got Spenny Maggie, we've got Laura, Sav's back, and we've got Samantha. So that's it. We've got room for 2 more. We might end up with a couple more, and I will add them if they appear. I thought I saw Adam there before, but he must have. Oh, I can see him now. There's Adam. And there, Martin, get in, lads. Well done.
Hey,
We've got
top 10.
That's it. We've got a full house. We've even got the supporters trust on. Well done, Adam. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Don't look back in anger.
Top man. What we've also got tonight is we've got Martin. Now, what Martin has agreed to do, because he said he wanted to do a challenge, was Martin is going to do a whole show next week, I think, as long as his costume arrives, dressed as me. So I'm dreading to see what this is going to look like. I'm not sure whether he's shaving his hair off either, but he says he's going to do a full show next week dressed as me. So that should be interesting. Is everybody ready? Have you all gargled? Go on, Samantha, get your last glass of wine. I hope you've got your best singing voices on. Okay, here we go. This is Fog on the Tyne, Steve Wraith and the NUFC Matters crew. Sitting in a sleazy snack bar, sucking sickly sausage rolls, slipping down slowly, slipping down sideways. Think I'll sign off the door, 'cause the fog on the Tyne is all mine. 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 I'll do the verse, and then we all join in on the chorus. So I'll do the verse. Could a copper catch a Kruger coffin maker? Could a copper comprehend that a Kruger coffin maker is just an undertaker who undertakes to be a friend? 'Cause the fog on the Tyne is all mine. Fog on the Tyne is all mine.
Fog on the Tyne is all mine. Fog on the Tyne is all mine.
Last verse. Tell the truth tomorrow. Today will take its time to tell you what tonight will bring. Presently we'll have a pint or two together. Everybody do their thing.
Whoa.
'Cause the fog on the all mine. Fog on the Tyne. Well done. I think I missed the verse for that. It's the only one I could find on the internet at short notice. But well done, everybody. Thanks for coming on, and we'll come up with a final total. Well done. Brilliant.
Bye.
Take care, guys. See you later. Brilliant stuff. Great to have them on. The NUFC Matters team, all up for that. Well done for coming on. Absolutely superb. So we've got about 10 minutes left. Lots of comments coming in. I would hardly say it was Britain's Got Talent.
No.
Simon,
I'll tell you what, Steve. It was not the City Hall 1976 standing on the back of the stage where they used to get the chance to sit on, was it? Mick, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Aye.
It was not that. It wasn't standing. It wasn't sitting there watching Chris Redd do his performance of Benny Santini before Lindisfarne then came out either. You know, and I've been to God knows how many Lindisfarne concerts over the years. But I tell you what, we did all right. Yeah,
absolutely brilliant. Thanks for everybody for joining in that. As I say, Right, we've got 10 minutes left. Mick's been our guest tonight, so we're gonna finish up with Mick, and then we'll get his secret in about 5 minutes' time. Where do you see the rest of the season going, Mick? On the pitch, first of all.
Well, I think we need to sign somebody else to play up front with Callum Wilson in January. To be honest with you, I really like Dwight Gale, but obviously he's forever injured. Andy Carroll's unfortunately past his best, and I don't think the rest are up to it. I just think, I think big man, Ferdinand Beardsley, that was 96. That was brilliant. We had Ferdinand Shearer, so the two big men can work as well. Two good strikers. They don't have to be big or little, as long as they're two good strikers and they get a working relationship between them and have defences all over. When you've got one striker, the defenders are watching that one striker. I feel sorry for Callum Wilson. He's done really well. I know he's scored a few pens, but he's done really well. Really, really well. I really like him, considering that he's had nobody really playing up front next to him. I think that we need to be more positive, because St. Maxim's not going to stay around if we're fannying about bodies behind the box, behind the ball. So it all depends on Steve Bruce, really. Let's go for it, let's start entertaining. I might be crowds in the ground, but we're still watching on TV. Like you say, like the lads were saying, we've got, everything's negative about the most shots saved, most shots against, we're at the bottom, but we've got we have the players to do that. We've got more players to do that than we did under Rafa. We've got a faster and more exciting team, but we're not going for it. What's the point of buying his Almiron and St. Maxim and Callum Wilson, and we're just sitting back? What's the point? There's no point. I think Richie coming back, he gives a balance. He gives a lot of balance, as well as like Mitch said that he's a driving force, which he is. He gives a balance as well, and that always. Football's a simple game. I said it earlier, and we should have two right backs, two left backs, and if your right back isn't fit, then you reserve right back players. You haven't put a midfielder there. It's you've got 25 players in your squad. There's 11 on the pitch. You should have at least 2 players for every position, at least. If I was manager, that's what I would have: 2 players for every position, and then they know the jobs and they're playing second string or whatever. Get friendlies against all the local non-league sides. I'd have them out there playing every week, every Saturday. They'd be Wednesday, because when against other teams, and they'll be ready to coming in. And some players come in, they haven't played for like 3 months. It's like when we used to go and watch the reserves as kids. The injured players used to play with the reserves, didn't they? They used to come back. Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
An extra couple of thousand on the gate, or an extra. If a player was come back from injury, he might be playing tonight. Now they just put them straight back in, and that's another reason why there's loads of injuries. But I just think the season, it all depends on Steve Bruce. Let's be positive. Let's not sit back. Let's be positive and go for it. So
okay, good stuff, mate. We'll come to your secret to finish off the show. Steve, if you can tot up while we'll just have a quick chat with quick chat with Mitch. And the YouTube, I've just googled it there, takes approximately 30% of each super chat. So it's a big whack, but if you can work that out roughly and just give us a rough total, as long as everybody knows it's a rough total, and then send them over to me. So Mitch, international break. Obviously, England played last night. Scotland qualified for a tournament.
Yeah,
good. I don't know about you, but I was actually over the moon to see them get through, and their celebrations in the changing room were fantastic. And of course, a good pal of ours, John Carver, part and parcel of it. Great to see a Geordie lad involved.
And of course, Stu knows him very well, so Stu was very happy for John. But Stu's also got Scottish lineage. And so he was quite happy last night and all. So it was a good evening all around. It's good to see them in tournaments. It's at least they were playing a competitive game. I mean, some of these friendlies have been bloody useless, absolutely useless. And now it turns out there's an Irish player tested positive after he played against England. you know, what is the point of these international friendlies during this time? It just seems to be absolutely pointless. It's playing games for playing games' sakes. And in the end, I'm glad Wilson and Darlow didn't get calls up, because it's just an absolute waste of space. But yeah, happy for John to be involved with Scotland and take them through to a tournament. And of course, they're going to play England as well, so that should be quite interesting.
God, I hope we're all back on the drinking out for that, and I hope they do the Times Square thing again, and Mick's got something going on in his bar, and I've got something going on in mine, because honestly, those days with the World Cup when we got to the semis recently was absolutely fantastic, and you know, it'll be great to see the nightlife back. Mick's missing out, I'm missing out, putting events on, doing pre-matches. It's just a nightmare, you know. Julie Baker has pointed out that the T-shirt on my Twitter, if you follow it at Steve Wraith, is currently at £40. We have got all weekend to do it, but it's the special Pudgy Bear one with me, Mitch and Steve, of course, in the Millennium Falcon. One-off T-shirt, 40 quid it is at the minute, but the winner of that will be announced, of course, on Monday on Ladies' Night. And don't forget, tomorrow night we will be back, tomorrow afternoon, 3 o'clock, we'll be back for the retro replay, Sunderland versus Newcastle at the Stadium of Light, Alan Shearer's final game. Steve, don't expect it to be 100% accurate, because we've asked you to not only add things up but now do percentages. But have you got a rough total, mate? Rough total. We can double check it.
I'm looking at about. It's going to come in at about 1,200 quid, Steve.
Oh, fantastic, mate! Fantastic.
Well, I mean, obviously we've got 709 quid and $709. And we're on about 798 quid. So you're looking around about 1,200 quid there.
Brilliant.
And that's fantastic, you know.
Is that with the 30% off, or is that with the 30%
No, that's mate. There's still the 30% to come off that.
To come off. Okay,
you know
that's
what?
fine. No problem.
I tell you, man, I've got a grade 2 CSE. It doesn't. We didn't do percentages. We didn't even do binary in those days, man.
Yeah, no worries. If it's 1,200 quid, it's 1,200 quid. But if it's we'll work it out.
We'll drop it. You look well. I mean, 1,200. You're looking at what, sort of like somewhere around about 900 there, aren't you? You know?
Perfect. Okay. Well, if it's 900 quid, I'll knock 100 quid on to make it 1,000. Okay.
We'll get the proper calculation, Steve, and then maybe he's on tomorrow's show. You can let people know exactly what it is. I think that's probably the best way. For you to sort that out. It's interesting what Mick was saying about 2 players for every position. We've got 2 players that never played, don't we? We've got Yedlin and Kraft in one position. You know, and you look at the whole setup that Newcastle have. It's all over the place. We've got players who are attacking midfielders who play behind almost the 2 holding midfielders.
Yeah,
and that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. We'll play with an isolated centre forward who were bought because he needs to have somebody alongside him, and we'll never play anyone alongside him. That annoys me. You know, that we've got Fraser and Richie. What's going to happen when them 2 come back when they're both fit? They're both going to sit on the bench and they're both going to cover each other's position. That's the sort of mentality that seems to be working out, or that's what I'm looking at. You know, and that's why I criticise, and that's why, or maybe not criticise. That's why I question what's going on at Newcastle United in terms of the formation, in terms of the personnel. And in terms of what to do, we've got a manager who doesn't know whether to play 5 at the back or 3 at the back or 4 at the back. We've got a midfielder who's playing a wing back who's never played a wing back in his life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, absolutely in his life, but he's playing there. We've got a guy who plays a left back who's played a left back in a back 4, who now we've suddenly decided to play him as a left back or a wing back in a back 5, and he's only like 20-odd-year-old. You know, 20-year-old if that. You know. This is the question, and people and the experts come on and they question us as fans because we're criticising someone who's a dinosaur manager who's been there and been a manager in the Premier League picking money up at God knows how many clubs for how many years now? 20-odd years. You know, that's what's annoying. That's what annoys Mick. That's what annoys Mitch. That's what annoys you, and it's certainly what annoys me.
Mm-hmm. Great stuff. We'll finish with a hasty rant.
And now Mick.
and now Mick, I want to just to finish off the final promise was a secret from you. So what was your secret?
How long have I got?
5 minutes. I'm expecting a knock at the door, so I might do off and leave you to it. But go on.
I am the Geordie Centre, the black and white Santa. That's me. Who ran around the ground. That's me. So basically, how it happened, Wolves at home, I think 91-92 season. On the end of the DVD, I got on the goals of the season. The only other bit of footage apart from all the goals is me running around the ground. So how it happened was, at the time, I was good friends with, we've been lifelong friends with Lee Clark. He's from the same area as me, Pottery Bank. So Lee Clark, Alan Thompson, Steve Watson, Steve Howie, I was good pals with him. And he used to get his prayer lounge tickets. This was in the days before I did the pre-match. But I wouldn't take the free seat. I always had a season ticket. So I'd sit in the Milburn, the Lees is there next to the way fans, the singing section where we sat from 88 to about when it was built to, well, save our seats until save our seats kicked out. And so what I used to do was go to the ground about 1:45, go in the players' lounge, a couple of pints, then go up the metal stairs from the centre circle along to the sitting seat with me pals. Then half time, back along, down, a couple of pints in the players' lounge because the bars, we didn't have the 1892 then, we didn't have the, the platinum. It was a, it was just like, it was nice, having a bar, like at half time, a pint. And then at the full time, we'd go down and stay there, then more often than not, go out with the lads from the town, like Tom and Clark and that. And then for this one game, it was Boxing Day. It wasn't Boxing Day. It was between Christmas and New Year. Wolves at home, and they brought, if you remember, had aeroplanes on. They brought about 3,000-4,000 in the Leazes then, the filled the Leazes then. And so I went down at half time, and I got a black and white Santa suit made in the inn shops at Walls End. One of the lasses made it for us. I had the black and white suit and the beard. I had it in the bin line, and I was just in the players' lounge. And I think it was the Irish lads, because although the game wasn't on live TV, they had it, all the matches Newcastle United recorded for the end of season video and stuff there. So it was on this. It used to always be on the players' lounge. So I'm sitting there, and I think it was injured. I think it was Kevin Sheedy. I think it was Tommy Wraith. Anyway, I was sitting with him, and the Wolves player, the second half had kicked off. I was still having a pint, sitting with him, chatting away. And one of the Wolves players went down injured. And I went, watch this. I went, just watch that telly. Just watch that telly. So I get to me black bin line. Out I goes up the metal stairs, went right away to the Milburn stand where all the singing section was, all the lads and that. And I came out there, black and white Santa suit on, hey, doing the stairs. Well, straight away, Santa's a Geordie, Santa's a Geordie, lad. And then the whole ground was up. I ran, it was a lot fitter then, and I ran along the front of the Milburn. The full length of the steward was going, they were trying to get it. I went all the way along, and then I cut in, and I just went to the toilet, put the beer in, and I put it in the black thing like that. I just walked to it, so I washed my hands prior. The bloke didn't even come in behind us. I just walked back to my seat. The best of it was, I got back to my seat, and all the lads just said, "Oh man, you've missed it." I went, "What on? The just ran under." I went, "It was great. You missed it."
Oh, magic!
I did Liverpool the season at Christmas. What a feeling's gonna be like. So basically, I went to the Leeds then. I ran along as soon as the referee, some of the crowd went up. They couldn't see us, And,
the best thing about it is, we're being of a certain vintage. We all remember that day. We all remember it. And what a day! Well, Mick, honestly, great story to finish up with. I've got to say that the YouTube chat is full of "Will Mick come back on?" So I'm hoping you've enjoyed it enough to come back as a guest at some point. It would be great to get you back on.
Definitely.
Please make sure you go to the Backpage shop, guys. Honestly, I can't promote it enough. The Backpage hopefully will be open after lockdown finishes, but you can go online, just search for the Backpage shop Newcastle, and you'll be able to find it on there. Fantastic gifts. Buy a gift tonight for a loved one for Christmas. It's well worth a visit. When we do get out of lockdown, pop in and see the lads. Dave Thorpe's been giving you a bit of stick as well tonight, Mick, on the chat. You thought your big confession was that you were called Sandra. But
I tell you what, And good luck to Keith Patterson and the lads. Let's hope they, put the pressure on the Premier League and we get the result we want, the takeover. That's me, let's hope it happens.
Well, Two Fans says next time you're on, put your Santa suit on. We'll try and get you on before Christmas, Mick. If you're not too stressed. Great to have you on, and good to have you, as always, Stephen. Mitch, we'll let you get yourself off to bed. I bet you need an early night. As always, guys, thank you for your generosity with that. We'll get a final total. Someone suggests it's round about £840. If it's £840 that's been donated, we'll add Mick's 50. We've added Mick's 50. That'll be £890. I'll put the 110 in. That's £1,000 we've raised for children in need tonight, which is absolutely fantastic. Well done, all. Yeah, well done, everybody. And don't forget, we are back tomorrow. We are going to play out with our Phone a Friend video. Please watch it. Please phone a friend. We'll be back 3 o'clock tomorrow. Good night. God bless. I wish you all well.